Hi guys, so today we're gonna go over Thursday's trade on 3rd of October on NQ. I have the Nasdaq chart over here, but it's usually pretty similar. So basically Thursday was this candle right here, this down candle. And on the daily, it's not really much, but we did come off of that daily order block right there and retracing into this range. And so on Thursday, basically we swept out Wednesday high, and that was one of the confluences. We swept out a Wednesday high right there before heading down. So remember that Wednesday high there, and we move down to the 4 hour. We see that the Wednesday high is actually the same as the 4 hour fair value gap right there. So after tapping into that daily order block and moving down, we respected bearish order flow, went into H4 fair value gaps and continued to move down. We have SMTs there, and we also have this 4 hour fair value gap. So basically this was that candle right there on Thursday. We tapped into that 4 hour fair value gap and I started looking for shorts, and we also swept previous day high. So that was the two main high time frame confluences that we had. Now moving down to the 1 hour, we see that this is the trade right there, and then actually no, not this one. It was like somewhere even smaller than that, but I'll explain that later. But we see that on the hourly, there's not much actually. We just have this 1 hour fair value gap as well. That's the same as the 4 hour one, and we also see that we have this high right there, which is that previous day high again, and we swept it, and then we entered that H4 and H1 fair value gap, and then we ended up creating an SMT. So after that, we also see that like there's really not much other things. We also kind of have like these like inducement range right here, but other than that, there was not much else. So I just went straight down to the 1 minute after the 9:30 sort of candle, and it was there around 9:30. We ended up pushing up to go and take out that high. Oops. So 9:30 opened and we started pushing up to go and sweep out that high. So this is actually not my trade, but I actually traded this one, which is a 1 to 3. So straight after it was like the 9:50 to 10:10 macro. So we went up, had an SMT, swept. This is the previous day high line. So we swept out high time frame liquidity as well. And then we have this bullish 1 minute fair value gap right here. And after we closed it, I entered straight away because we already inversed this fair value gap. So I entered there, stops above, just giving it a bit of breathing room in case it wants to go back to that fair value gap. And I actually had my targets right at the first low that I see, just because it was 10 and I had work like at 7 a.m. the next day, and I already had work that day as well. So I was already really tired and I didn't want to stay on the charts for too long. So that's why I entered a little bit more earlier and had a tighter stop loss. So within 1 minute, basically we hit take profit. So it was a 1 to 3 trade in 1 minute. I would say this trade was actually a little bit rushed just because I entered off just that one inverse. But I wouldn't say it's a completely like horrible trade, but yeah, maybe waiting would have been a bit better. But yeah, I chose to do that because of the given circumstances, and that's why I also ended up choosing to target just this low straight away. Now, if I was to be more, proper about it, I did end up monitoring the charts for a little bit, and as we were making this candle down and we started pushing up, I saw that we created this 1 minute fair value gap right here. And you might not believe this, but basically when we were pushing up, I saw that we have this 1 minute inverse that overlaps with the 1 minute fair value gap. And I just thought to myself, like, if this was to touch here, this 1 minute inverse right here, this line, I would like enter, like, how to say, kind of like a forward test kind of thing. But at the same time, I didn't enter it because I knew if I wanted to enter it, it might take really long to hit my ultimate take profits, and I just didn't want to be in that trade for that long. And also because I already had one trade, so I didn't want to like be too greedy and also over trade for that day. So basically I sort of just put this right here, and I just thought if this was any other day where I had proper time and I had time to actually monitor this trade, then I would have entered there instead of entering at the top, and that stop loss would have been at the top here above that inverse fair value gap, and then stop targeting that low. And we ended up getting that after a while. So that would have been a 1 to 6, but overall I'm not upset upset at all that I didn't enter the trade, because I wouldn't have stayed up until 1 a.m. to monitor this trade. And yeah, like maybe if I had taken something like this, I probably would have put my stops at the body of something. So maybe even put it at the body of the 5 minute here, which pretty much perfectly lines up with that low right there. And that, if you guys see one of my previous videos, I've already been talking about having take profits at the bodies. I've learned that from someone that is good at trading. I've learned that sometimes you can put your stop loss at bodies and it will be better. And you can see with this trade, it actually did work out better. So even at 30-minute or 5-minute body, it would have just hit before at around 10:30 before having to go back up and go down. So that would have been a good target, I guess, if we want to trade this move. So the better entry would have been to wait for that 1 minute fair value gap and to wait and to target that body right there. That would have been a good strategy. And that is how I would usually trade NQ, is to sort of take the bodies, because sometimes it likes to do like SMTs. So, and I wouldn't know which pair would take the low. So instead of aiming for the low, sometimes it's better to aim for the bodies. So that's just something that I do, especially for NQ, and even sometimes for EU, just depending. And this is already a good risk to reward anyway, so this would have been a good trade. And for the entries, the reason why I do 1 minute, even though it's a 4-hour higher time frame, is just because we already have all this liquidity here, even like the previous day high and SMT and all that. And there's just usually when you, and also like Asian session highs and all that. So usually when you wait for 5 minutes, it's already too slow. So if I was to wait for a 5 minute, I probably would have had to enter somewhere here, and that would just be too it would be not that great of a risk to reward, I guess. It would be like a 1-to-1. So that's why I enter using 1 minute, especially during these times, because it's really volatile movement. So even within minutes, it can move like a lot of points. It would be better for entries for 1 minute for me. So yeah, that's the end of this trade recap, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.